Hello, everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown, and this is Dear Profiler Pat, where I give advice. You send me questions, I give some advice on those questions. I hope it helps you and I hope it helps the other viewers. If you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. Click the playlist to check all the different areas of advice I give, and also yeah, click the bell, because if you don't click the bell, you don't get notifications. And if you want me to answer one of your questions, please do send an email to uh, profilerpatbrown@gmail.com and put in the subject line, Dear Profiler Pat, so I know what it's about. Okay, now this question, Dear Profiler Pat, I live alone and I am lonely. I don't, I somebody included this in another one of the emails to me, which she had two questions, and this was one of them. And she kind of threw that out and said, but I live alone and I'm lonely. What can I do about this? All right. When you say this, throw this out there any place, like in Quora or Reddit or Facebook. You get the traditional answers, and you usually want to punch people in the face when they give them. Oh, you should volunteer. You should join. Go to the senior center. You should go out. Get out. Go walk your dog, and then you can talk to people. And they throw out these ideas, and they're good ideas. There's nothing wrong with them, but for some reason, it's very difficult. And I think a lot of what's not addressed is the difficulty of being alone, living alone. And the days can be very, very long. I think a lot of people don't live alone, don't realize that. If you live with somebody, for example, if you're married or have a partner of some sort, you wake up in the morning and they're either next to you or they're buzzing around the house, and you get up and you have coffee together, whatever. And you say, what are you doing today? And hopefully, if you get along well, they say, well, you want to go for a morning walk, and you do that. And then maybe you say, okay, well, I got some stuff to do. And they say, yeah, I want to go gardening. And then you say, hey, you want to go out for lunch today? Okay. And you got this person, and they're always sort of around you. So you're never alone. Sometimes you're annoyed, but you're not alone. And you have that person to go on vacations with and take a drive with and all that kind of stuff. And if they have family and you have family, you can go as a couple to the families. You can invite people. If you're still together after many years, you can invite your kids over and you have all the family time. That's if you're lucky. And if you're not in that situation where you're not in a marriage, you may be a widow or a widower, you may just be divorced, like me, and never found anybody to be in a relationship with again. So, it's a couple decades of, it's me by myself, living alone, except for some rare occasions. And I know the difference of those rare occasions because after I got divorced, I went and lived with my sister. Thank you, sister. And with her, and her husband was there. Thank you. I call him husband. Hi, thank you, husband. And he calls me wife number 2. But anyway, I lived with them for 4 years, and it saved me after my marriage because I wasn't alone. I woke up in the morning and I could hear people around me, and I came out, and there they were in the kitchen, and I would go for walks, and I'd have meals with them, and I could go to just do different things with them, and even sit. We had an office, my sister and I. We had 2 computers in the office, and I could go into the office sometimes at 3 a.m, because that was before iPads. So where you could do it in, do stuff in your bed. you'd have to actually go to into the office or the library, wherever you kept your computer. And I'd walk in at 3 a.m, and she'd be there, and I go, oh, hi, sis. And we both see sitting there working at 3 a.m. It was kind of crazy, but it was so nice because I had somebody there, 2 people there. And I went out, I did other things, but after I was divorced and I was no longer in a family home, I didn't have a husband that I was seeing every day in my life. It was really hard. And living with them for 4 years really made a difference. So that was a great thing. And now then I came back to my home in Maryland, and my son, luckily, he came back from India. I was in India for a year studying, and he actually stayed with me for a couple of years because he was looking for work and he needed a place to stay. And thank God he was there because we spent time together, and it was, I had him in the house, and he and I sat on the porch in the evenings and chit chat about things into the night. It was great. And then I moved over to my house here. I've been here 10 years, and I live next door to my daughter. and my granddaughter and my son-in-law and her father-in-law. They live in the big house. I live in the small kind of mother-in-law house. And it's a wonderful little house, but I live alone. And it's not that easy. It isn't that easy. And I feel lonely a lot of times because it's just me. I wake up in the morning. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, here I am. And I do stuff. I open up my iPad, I check my emails, my kind of stuff. And I go out and decide whether I want to eat breakfast or not. And then you got the whole day ahead of you, 24 hours, and there's nobody there. Now, so this is where I think a lot of you come down to. This is why I started out saying this, because I know a lot of you are in this situation where you wake up in the morning and you're like, here I am again by myself. What do I do? Okay. So I can relate. And there's two sides to this. One part of me is happy I'm not in a relationship because I have freedom. I make all my own choices. I do what I want every moment of the day. If I decide I want to go out of town, nobody argues with me. I'm free to do things with my friends. I go out with a girlfriend and we go out for the evening or whatever. I don't have a husband going, why are you going out with her? It's kind of nice. I'm going to go away to Hawaii for 3 months and I'm going to go for January, February, and most of March. Nobody's telling me I can't go because I can't go. I've traveled the world because I didn't have anybody getting in my way. Once I was divorced, my career blossomed because I didn't have that person going, what about me? Why are you ignoring me? You're working all the time. So I have to say, being single has been wonderful in many ways. There's always the positives and the negatives. But on the other hand, sometimes it's freaking lonely. So what do you do? And people throw out all these ideas. And then I say, a lot of times we're very resistant. We go, yes, but, yes, but, yes, but. And it doesn't seem to have trouble making it solve our problem. So what do we do? Well, I just saw this thing on TikTok, I think it was, and I'm not going to misquote this terribly. But anyway, this Indian father was talking to his son, and his son was talking about his emotions. He goes, I feel this way. And he goes, so what? I'm like, okay, Dad. And he goes, but what about, yeah, so what? You feel that way. You're angry. You're sad. So what? And then he said this very interesting thing. He said, I'm going to do a little bit different take on it. But basically he was saying, emotions are for losers. Plans are for winners. And I'm like, okay, what are you saying? Now, obviously emotions are real. We all feel emotions. They're real things. We deal with them. We're happy, we're sad, we're depressed, we're bored, we're alone, whatever we are. Those are true emotions. They exist. But what the dad is saying is you can have those emotions, but what are you doing with those emotions? If you wallow in those emotions, you are stuck. You're stuck. Nothing's going to change because you're just wallowing in them. The only way you can change things is if you recognize your emotion and you put a plan into action. I'm bored. What am I going to do about it? I'm depressed. What am I going to do about it? I'm lonely. What the hell am I going to do about it? Because if you don't make a plan, you're going to stay right there. And that is true. So you kind of hit, it's funny because I was just recently, I'm thinking, I'm not perfect. Sometimes I wallow too. Yeah. And so what do you do about it? So going back to all those little suggestions people give, some of them are actually rational. But you got to figure out, and this is the important thing, you have to pick out things that work for you, not work for somebody else. And that's sometimes very annoying. Like people will say, oh, you need to get a dog so you can go walk the dog. When you walk a dog, people talk to you, which is absolutely true. And you have something you have to do. You feel needed. So you take your dog for a walk, and that's great. And then the dog keeps you company at home. It does. People absolutely love having dogs. And I would say if you are willing to have a dog, that is a great help to your loneliness. It absolutely is wonderful because that dog will be there. He'll be, wanting to sit there and have you pet it and you have to feed it and you have to play with it. And it's going to keep you company. keep you company. It might sleep in your bed with you and not ask for anything more than sleeping in your bed with you. I mean, it could be a great thing. Dogs can be very, very loving and kind. And then you are forced with dogs to go out of the house, walk that thing, and maybe you have a park you can walk in and go to a dog park or whatever. And people always stop and go, oh my God, what kind of dog do you have? So you do get to like interact with people. I think having a dog is a great idea, except I don't like dogs personally. I know you're going to hate me now because I'm not a dog person. I have 3 dogs next door. I love the dogs. There's a German Shepherd, there's a Cane Corso, and the little fluffy thing. I forgot what the little fluffy thing is. Anyway, they're cute. I've known them for years. Well, the Rocky, the Cane Corsos do. I come out of my house, they attack me. They run around me. They want to be petted, and I sometimes have to go up and feed them and all that kind of stuff. I think they're sweet. I don't want one. I've never wanted a dog. Dogs annoy me. I find them overly needy. So I've always had cats. Cats are psychopaths. They just use you. And but then they look cute and they're furry and you can pet them and they purr. And that's nice. And now I have no cat because I want to travel. And so after my last cat died, I didn't get any more animals. And then my feral cat, Mac, showed up. And now every evening I feed Mac. He comes into my house. And it's been 2 years now. And now he'll come and stand on my lap and eat. And he'll sleep under my dining table and then give me the stink eye and leave. I do, but here's the funny thing: I do enjoy his company. It's pretty small, It's like, oh, finally somebody's coming to see me. It's my feral cat. That's pitiful, but okay, that's still enjoyable. And so I do enjoy the cat. Now, the reason I don't want to get an animal right now is because I do want to be able to leave. If I go to Hawaii for 3 months, I can't have a dog. I love lizards. But if you have lizards, you have to have an environment. You got to have the sun. You have to have the heating bulbs, and you have to be able to feed them. Who's going to come and do that for 3 months? But for a cat, you can put. I have a cat door, so there's no litter box. So I have my granddaughter's going to come in once a week. She'll fill up the food bowl with dry food, big huge bowl, and fill up the water bowl, and then she'll walk away. And the cat can come in and do whatever, enjoy that, and say, "Oh, thank God the big beast isn't here. I can just enjoy my life. I don't have to deal with a human." So. So I've decided that's my choice. If I ever don't want to travel again, I would probably get some animals. I would probably get a cat. I would probably get a lizard. I'd probably get an iguana. I don't know what I'd get. I'd get something because I would like the company of those lovely animals. If I'm not needing to leave and then not be able to take care of them. So I totally approve of pets are a nice replacement they're not the same as humans, but they do give you company and companionship and you feel needed by them and they're a good thing. So that's perfectly fine. But that doesn't necessarily do it for everybody. And so the loneliness problem comes into one, just simply being at home alone and not connecting with people. And so all the suggestions of how you can get out of your house to connect with people aren't bad suggestions. You just have to figure out which ones work for you. I do go to my senior center. I go to 2 art classes a week and I go to one one Spanish class a week there. And I enjoy them because I gotten to know the people really well. You have to go long enough because when I first went, people just pretty much didn't care that I was there. But after a while, I started to know people. And although we may not become friends, we're like really good acquaintances. And so I come in and I look at everybody else's artwork and they look at my artwork and we chat about things. And it's a nice place to go that gets me out of the house and with people. And with a purpose. I've learned a lot of artwork. I'm now a pastel artist, and that's pretty cool. My Spanish has gotten better, although it's not great, but it's gotten better. And so it's nice to accomplish things and be a part of people. People, we laugh and joke, and so it's really nice. So I would absolutely say, if you're a senior, check out your senior center because it's there in most people's towns. We have a really good one. Some of them are kind of sucky, but there are good ones. So that's a place where if you're of a certain age, I think it's 55 and over for most places, go there. Now, you have to find things there you like to do. Now, some people like we have pool there. People play, they come in every day and they're playing pool all day long. There's table tennis there. I used to play with them until I got better than the guys. And I don't want to play there anymore. So I go to the table tennis club instead. But anyway, I did play with them for a few years. And And there's the people come in and they play bridge and they hang out and they have lunch together. So there's a whole bunch of things that happen. This is a good senior center. Some senior centers pretty much suck. There's very little happening at them, but check it out. It is an option. And but here's the thing. Again, you have this emotion. The emotion is, in this case, I'm lonely. It's a real emotion, but if you just sit there and say, I'm lonely, I'm lonely, I'm lonely, and don't do anything with it, you're just going to, as the guy said, you're going to be a loser because you're going to lose out on fixing that problem, because it's a real problem, but you got to find out how to fix it. So you have to find all the ways you can possibly fix it. So one way is, if you're a senior, going to senior centers. Volunteering is for every age, but you have to find something, again, you like to volunteer. So you have to find something that you enjoy volunteering. I went to India and volunteered at a deaf school in India, and I stayed there for a month. And that was cool because I was fluent in sign language, American Sign Language, not fluent in Indian Sign Language. So that was a struggle, but I enjoyed traveling. So I got to go there for a month. I stayed with a headmaster. I worked at the school, and that was a way. I wasn't lonely a bit there because I was included in everything. The headmaster's family took me places, and I went to parties, and I went to concerts, and they went to the relatives' houses. The teachers invited me to do things. I did things with the school. I was so busy. I was never lonely a bit. So India is a great place for not being lonely for seniors. Believe me, you get included in everything. So that was great. And I lived with other people. That was such a nice thing for me. I love living with other people. I'm just one of those. I don't really love living alone. I don't. So I lived with other people there, and it was cool. And so that was one thing. Other people solve they find ways to volunteer no matter what age you are, because you could be a 20-year-old watching this and saying, oh, I'm not a senior, but you might be alone in your apartment. Or you might live in your parents' house, but be in your room all sulky, got to find something to do. So volunteering is one way. Another way, of course, is working. If you can find work out in the community, that's it. Obviously, a lot of people they lose a lot of loneliness when they work, especially if you get a real job that you have 40 hours a week with a whole bunch of people. Like, yeah, you're always working with. My daughter, she's police officer, detective. She's worked with the same department for 20 years. Every day she's got companionship. And I've had other kids, my other two sons, they've worked in certain places where they felt like they go into work, and that gives them that kind of companionship. And sometimes when you have all of that, you can't wait to get home to your empty house. You're like, oh, thank God. I've worked hard all day. I've been around all these people. Just can't wait to come home, eat my little food, watch a movie. You're not lonely because you've had your fill. But when you wake up in the morning, you got no place to go, and you have nobody there, and you're not, then you don't get anything. You're empty all day long and all night long. That can be really tough. So even if you're 20, 30, 40 years old, you got to find either work or volunteer stuff that gets you out in a group situation, or find seniors. I say can go to senior centers. If you're not a senior, well, for everybody, there is the hobby-ish thing. Hobbies are useful because they put you someplace with people. I play pickleball, and therefore, when I'm on the pickleball court, I feel like at least I'm around people. I play table tennis, and I'm getting coaching in table tennis. And so I have a place to go to learn how to play table tennis better, and then I meet other people. When I go to Hawaii for my 3 months this year, I've already contacted, because I'm going to be alone in Hawaii. Believe you me, I'm not even going to have my house. I'm going to be in a room for 3 months by myself. And I look for everything to make me not lonely. So I found the table tennis club where I've got a coach there. So every week I'll take one lesson with a coach, because I can't afford more than that. But I can go to the table tennis club every day if I want. And then maybe I'll meet people. Then I'm going to go to pickleball. I found Scrabble. Scrabble's on Wednesday nights in Honolulu. I'm a Scrabble player. I can go there. I went on, what I'm thinking of now. Just drawing a total blank now. I'll come back to that in a minute, because it's just gone out of my head. What the heck? I'll come back to that. But there's social. Oh, Meetup. I came back. Meetup, for example. I have a beef with Meetup, but that's a whole nother story. But Meetup for most people, and I actually Meetup threw me out because I took it's a long story. But anyway, I'm on Meetup, but under an alias because I have issues with Meetup. Actual constitutional and issues with Meetup, but I still I still kind of find them useful. So when I go to Honolulu, I've already checked out Meetup, and I found there's an over 50 ladies group that gets together and hangs out. I found these different things that I might be able to meet people. Not dating necessarily, just meeting people to do things. A walking group, a biking. Well, I don't bike. A walking group, something where people get together to do things. And so I've looked that up because I'm going to be in an area I've never been in. I've been to Hawaii, but never to live. So I'm going to live there for 3 months away from everything I know. And I'm already got the problem of living alone here. I'm going to be really living alone there. So I have to find things to do or I'm going to lose my mind. And so wherever you are living and you're living alone, you have to make that plan that the Indian dad was talking about. You might have the emotions of feeling lonely and sad and depressed because you're lonely and you live alone and you feel like you're not connecting with people. You have to make a plan. You have to make it your job, essentially, to find a way to connect with people, whether it be through senior centers, whether it be through volunteerism, whether it be through jobs, whether it be through hobbies, whether it be through some people end up doing foster care so they can bring children into their home. Some people go on dating sites so they can find somebody and get a partner. I mean, whatever it is, you're going to have to look for it. You really are. Get the pet, whatever the heck it is, or online stuff. If you're watching me now, I hope you're connecting with me because I'm here. And one of the things I have over my other channel, Profiling with Pat Brown, where I do my crime analysis, I have a Patreon group. I have patrons who are regulars coming to the channel, and I have these patron-only shows twice a week. And I get to know the people that come, and they get to know each other. So I'm like, hey, I know them all. And sometimes, I've made friends, and they've made friends with each other, and I've made friends with them, and that helps me keep sane because my work is virtual. You know what I mean? I'm not in. I'm doing it. My work is online. So when I do my work from home, which is great in a way, but on the other hand, I don't go out and see people. I used to do profiling. I'd go work with the police department, or I'd go on TV and I'd go down to the TV station. I'd hang out, first I'd get my makeup and hair done, which I can clearly see doesn't happen now, but I used to go looking good. And I got to know a lot of the people who are makeup artists and stuff. And we became friends. And then I meet the producers and all that stuff. So there were people around. And I did that. And then I said the police departments, TV. And then when I worked as a sign language interpreter, I was a medical sign language interpreter for years. I went into the hospitals and I got to know people at the hospitals and I got to meet people all the time. And then all of that ended with COVID pretty much and a whole bunch of other reasons. And now I work out of my home. So I get up in the morning and I'm not going any place to meet and seeing people. I'm here now. So thank God for when I do have my patrons come on to my live shows and they're in my chat room. I'm like, oh, thank God, I get to meet people. So some people have found communications through online stuff can be very helpful. It could be any kind of group that you're discussing things with. It could be Facebook. It could be whatever. Sometimes that's the way to do it. And sometimes if there's people you get to know or family members or whatever who are distant. I just did, as a matter of fact, I have a friend who lives about 3.5 hours away. And so we have virtual dinners together and virtual walks together. So last night I had a virtual dinner with him. So I came home and we put up our, I think we did it through, it's another thing I've just forgotten. What did I do it through? No, there's many ways to connect anyway. So whether it be Google, what am I thinking? I'm just losing my mind. I can't remember all the things that I connect to, but there's like 5 different ways to connect with people and have essentially, it's a video call. And, so we had our video call last night and he was sitting there eating his food and I'm eating my food. And it's kind of like we're at the same table, but we're 3.5 hours apart. And so we chatted for like 4 hours. And then eventually, we both picked up our phones. We put our food away and we both went to our separate beds. And then we sat in bed and chatted for a while. Really nice. Sometimes we do virtual walks where I pick out some place to go, or he says, hey, can we go walk through someplace? And we went through a walk recently. We went through a walk. We went to Kiev. And it was before it got bombed a lot. But anyway, it was a beautiful place. And so I found it on YouTube. It's a virtual walk where you actually feel like you're walking through the town, and you get on your treadmill or whatever, your bicycle or whatever at home, and you say 1, 2, 3, and you click the button at the same time, and the video starts on both ends, and you walk together through a city, even though you're not together. And it's really cool because you walk through the city for like an hour, you get exercise, you chit chat, you point out things you're seeing, and you felt like you were there. And yet neither one of you got on a plane, and neither one of you actually even together, but it feels like you were. So that's really cool. So that's a thing I figured out. That's really neat. So you have to make a plan. How can I make things better for myself? I'm lonely. It's a real feeling, but if I don't do anything about it, I lose out. If I do something about it, make a plan, then maybe I'll be a happier person. So that's what sometimes you have to do. And there's people who have taken some really radical choices. So I've known some people, known. Okay. I read about them. I didn't know them personally, but they joined the Peace Corps. They joined the Peace Corps after 60 years old. And they went someplace with the Peace Corps to some country, and they stayed there for 3 years. And Peace Corps people worked together, so they felt like they were in a group. And they may have been in a group of 20 or 30-year-olds, but still, they were part of a team. That's a pretty cool thing. That's pretty neat. They're just people who just decide to pick up and go someplace to be in something that they think they will then be part of a group, whether for whatever they decide to do. Some volunteer work in another country, some volunteer work in the United States or whatever country you're living in. They just decide to join something that is going to make them a part of something. Joining a church, for example, that does a huge things for people. Whatever religious organization you might be a part of, you're going there either once a week or twice a week, 3 times a week, depending on how much they get together, and you become a part of that group. You share things together, and oftentimes there's not only is it the religious part that you participate in, but most times they have other things, get-togethers, visiting with other people in their houses, special events, and you become a part of that group. That's pretty cool, So, absolutely, religious organizations, churches, mosques, synagogues, temples, meeting houses, whatever the heck you're going to, that can really change people's lives. They can really feel part of something, and they get to know people of all ages. That's really wonderful. Obviously, you have to believe in something or be willing to believe in something to go to those, but still, that's a wonderful way. I think really, I think that's downplayed too much these days, and it's really been a very useful thing. What else? Just when I was out staying with my sister and her husband, I joined a Bollywood dance group because I love Bollywood music, and I wanted to learn how to do the dance. And so I joined this women's dance group. 4 years, I became friends with them, and I went to India with them. I went to parties. They invited me to parties, and I got to wear saris and fancy, all pretty clothes. And I went to dances. I mean, I had a great time in Minnesota with all my Indian friends, because they included me and because I was part of that Bollywood group, the dance group. And so, and I had to go to the practice, and then I had to go perform, and then I hung out with them, and then I went to India with them. I mean, that's pretty cool. And at the time I went there, I was the oldest woman in the group. I was the only non-Indian woman in the group too. I was like 50. I guess I was 50 when I first went there. So I was really, I got involved in something. So the tricky thing is you got to figure out how you're going to involve yourself with other people, whether it be your family, friends nearby, whether it be virtually, whether it be picking up and just moving to a different location that'll work for you. So maybe you're just in the wrong place. Maybe you need to be in a senior community, for example. My sister, she moved from Minnesota to the villages. She is a little longer story than that, but she's now in the villages in Florida, and she is so freaking busy because she runs everything. she has amazing groups that she puts together, and all these people come to her groups: music groups, Scrabble groups, puzzle groups. I mean, she's just amazing. So she's busy, and she's involved with all these people because she moved from a place where she couldn't find a good way to connect at a certain point. So, And when she moved, wow. She also worked at a state park for a while and got involved in the state park. It was a volunteer thing, but I think they got like an RV thing. They lived in the state park, and she and her husband, and then they got to know people, and they had a job there. Oh, that's a cool thing. So she's a good planner. I'll give my sister that. She's not lonely because she plans and plans and plans. So she deals very well with that. I'm not as good as her, but I'm trying. But I think that's the thing, is that we're all in a different situation, but we are going to have to analyze, like look at ourselves as a project and analyze what the heck our problem is. We might know what the problem is. We got to find out what the solution is. So, because if we wallow in it, we're just going to wallow in it until we die, essentially. If we recognize we got a problem, we got to say, okay, what are the many different ways that I might be able to improve my life, improve my not being so alone. And of course, again, it should be something that works for you, because what works for another person doesn't work for maybe you. So try not to be a total yes but person. Yes, I do that, but I don't like that. You have to find out. There's got to be enough things you find that'll work for you, and some of the things you may not be sure of. Maybe it's worth trying, at least trying. I took a knitting class. I never thought I'd like knitting, and it was really nice. I enjoyed knitting, and I made some really nice scarves. I enjoyed it. I took a paper folding class, so I ended up learning some origami. Who knew I could like some origami? And it was fun to go there and try this new thing. And I did do chorus for like a year. I did enjoy it, but it wasn't my favorite thing. So after I had an interesting experience for a year, I did 2 concerts. I was like, okay. I tried improv. I hated the living hell out of that. Hated it. I bolted out of there. So everything you try isn't going to work, but you have to try things in order to find out if they're going to work. Sometimes you have to accept that you might not find it pleasant, and that's going to be the one you throw off your list. I'm going to Hawaii for 3 months because I hate the cold. I've always wanted to try living there, but I don't know if it's going to be a good experience or a bad experience. I mean, I've been to Hawaii 5 times. I've always enjoyed it as a tourist, but now I'm not a tourist. Will I find enough to do, or will I just be a sad little lump in that rented room I have? I don't know. I mean, people go, oh, you're going to have a great time, Pat. They don't know that. Maybe I'll have a crappy time. I don't know. But I also know if I don't try it, I'll never know. Maybe this is a great thing for me to do, because I hate cold weather. Maybe once a year, 3 months out of the 12, I go someplace. I go to Hawaii, I go to Mexico, go to India. I have this wonderful experience for 12 weeks in a different place, meet new people. Maybe it'll invigorate me. Maybe I will absolutely not like it at all. Maybe I will just take a loss and jump on the plane and come back home. But at least I'll find out if it works for me. I mean, so there's many things you can try. I want to try walking, a walking group. Okay, try that. I used to camp when I was whatever age. Now I want to try camping again. And you go camping and you either say, oh my God, it was so great being out in nature. I love sitting around people and cooking over the open fire. Or you'll say, oh my God, I was miserable. I was cold in my tent, and then the rain came in and I was soaking, and oh my God, I hated every moment of it. I never want to camp again. Fine. But at least you tried it. And now you can take that off your list. You got to try things. And one of the advantages younger people tend to have, because I don't, most people come to this channel tend to be older, but a lot of you younger people, you're a little bit better at trying new things, saying, what the hell? I'm going to go for it. But you need to go for it. That's just, whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, you have to find something. Keep making the plan. Look, actually develop a plan. Say, okay, if I had to come up with 5 things that might make my life better, what would they be? I'll give them a shot. 1 of them may work out and 4 of them may not. Or 4 of them may work out and 1 of them may not. How do you know? But I'm going to say, if you have 5 things on your plan and you try those 5 things, I'm going to say something's going to make your life better. Because if you don't do any of those 5 things, you're going to be exactly where you are today, just as depressed and lonely as ever. So that's my advice on this. You got to, like that guy said, emotions, they're real, but don't wallow in them, because then you basically lose. But if you do something, if you make a plan, then you become a winner, because winners make plans, because plans are the only thing that are ever going to forward your life in any, this loneliness is just one area. You could be making plans for a job plan. You could be making plans for travel plans. You could be making plans for all kinds of things, but this is on loneliness, being alone. And who knows, you might find that whatever your plan is works out for you, whatever it might be. And it could be making your home life better by bringing in a pet. You could be renting a room to somebody in your house and find you enjoy having that rent roomer in there because now you have somebody in the house with you. You could go on dating sites. You could meet your soulmate, and then you end up in a permanent relationship. You could, or you could decide don't want to be married again, but you want to be more out there in society. So you find work or volunteer work or whatever, and that starts doing something. Or maybe you realize you just don't have anything new in your life. You've just been doing the same thing over and over again, and that's depressing along with being lonely. So you decide you're going to try new things, and you're going to find when you try those new things, my gosh, who knew I like doing that? Now I'm getting excited, and I want to keep working at it, and I want to get better and better and better. Some people go back to college, because sometimes if you're older, you get free college too. Maybe that'll work for you. Try something. Maybe you decide you want to fly an airplane, take flying lessons. I don't know, whatever it is, but you got to make a plan. At least come up with at least 5 things that you think you might enjoy, and then start checking them off, trying them out, and seeing if it works for you. And don't get discouraged if it doesn't work for you, because the only way you find out whether it's for you or not is by trying it. And there's nothing wrong with not liking something, because it's just one thing you can check off your list. So if I go to Hawaii and I have a nice time there, then I'll say, wow, this really works for me. I could also go to Hawaii and say, this really doesn't work for me. Or I could go to Hawaii and it could be, the best thing I've ever done in my entire life, and I never want to return home. Oops, that wasn't my plan, but you never know. But make your list, make a plan, do something. Because otherwise, I can tell you, if you're lonely now and you don't make a plan, you're going to be lonelier tomorrow. And believe me, I've been there. So I speak from experience. So anyway, thank you for being here. I hope you got something out of this. If you've been alone or lonely, and by the way, I just want to say this before you put this, I get really annoyed by this because I see this on Quora. Oh, I live alone and I'm never lonely, And then they go on and then they basically mock everybody who does feel alone. And I think that's kind of cruel, because just because maybe you're antisocial, maybe you're just one of those people that doesn't mind spending all of your time by yourself. Some people are like that. They just want to read books and they garden and they don't want anybody around them. Bully for you. I'm not saying that's okay. But don't come on and say, oh, the only reason you're lonely is because you don't know. Blah, blah, blah. Just don't be mean like that. If somebody's really lonely, they are really lonely. So they have to find a way that works for them. And your way, just because you're happy being alone and never seeing any human being, you're a misanthrope or something, doesn't mean that other people want to do that. So, when I see people come in there, just basically swat down people who, oh, I don't know why you think you're just annoys me. So don't do that in the comments. If you're put things in the comments, put things in the comments that are inspiring and encouraging and work for you, that help other people say, oh, I never thought of that. That would be cool. Putting it on my plan list. All right. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Again, if you're new to the channel, please do like and subscribe. See you next time.